Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we've got ourselves a track from an act named Kelsie Kimberlin titled It's Not the Time I Stand With Ukraine. And if we switch over to here, yep, it's been a year so far, hasn't it? Released on March 22nd, 2022. I've gotten to review a few songs about the situation with Ukraine and Russia, and predominantly the songs that I've reviewed so far that are about that subject matter have been fantastic and really tasteful, and obviously the Ukrainians need all the support they can get. So I appreciate and respect musicians who are trying to get the message out there and writing songs about that, putting their foot forward or showing their support by what they do as as musicians and as creators and as artists. We've got a little message here. It's Not the Time new song from Kelsie Kimberlin out now. When I was preparing to release my new song, I did not know that a war would happen in my beloved Ukraine, a country where I spent many summers with my wonderful family and friends. Russia has attacked Ukraine, the world has turned upside down, everyone's priorities have changed. But music is always eternal, right? Yeah, I agree with this. We've got the lyrics down here as well, which is, look at all the people involved with this. There's a lot of people involved with this, man. This is looking like a real big effort. I dig it, because I haven't listened to Kelsie Kimberlin before, but I appreciate it when people put the hours into making their music super special and you get the right people involved. We're gonna listen through this track from start to finish, and we're gonna hear what we think. Let's go. Okay, I like the production quality, like the audio sounds great. You got some vocal parts with guitar and some... Would those be synth parts? Is there a bit of like is that a riser or something like that? It's very very atmospheric, isn't it? Before any further, I have a lot to appreciate here. I'm loving that low-lying sub bass we got. I'm liking how some of these sort of piano sort of synthy parts are in time with the vocals here. It helps to add a sense of unison and order and structure to the song. And we've got the sequencer coming in here. Okay. Like these vocal harmonies as well. There's a really lush effects chain on the vocals. Like, I don't mean like mid-tune or anything like that. What I mean is like the reverb it sounds like lovely and like fresh sounding, and it adds presence to her vocals in the mix. Oh, is that a repeater? Come Back to Me. It's interesting, these drums, I was expecting like, I'm not sure what I was expecting. You can't really know what to expect when you're listening to a new musician or someone you haven't heard before, but I like the fact that we're just rolling with these kicks or like low and percussive drums with the, oh, we got some like more like the vocals, those vocals with the double track sing parts in the center. And we're repeating this vocal line as well, this chorus line. Okay, there's a lot to appreciate so far. I understand that Kelsie is trying to establish a connection to Ukraine, that she feels far away from it, that she wishes she could be there to sort of be a part of it. Like there's that length where you are worried about someone far away, and I think that's the feeling, right? A lot of us that aren't in Ukraine right now are like, oh, we're in a completely different country. How can we help? Nice fill of drums there with the panning as well. There's... Are we doing some reversed guitar takes? And I suppose I'm kind of, I'm fascinated by the way this track has been arranged and composed. We don't really have a set sort of accompaniment instrument or accompanying instrument, apart from like the guitar that comes in a lot of the time. But like the bass and the drums, they change, they shift, man. And we've got little bits of sparkle and slide guitars come in that are...
I just wanna have you in my space again.
Nice use of repeater there on the vocals.
Tell you all my dreams come true. I just wanna lay you in my bed again. I just wanna wake up beside you. It's not the time.
A little bit more power to this one. I'm liking the way we've worked with that snare. Is it that snare? It just has presence. Like that really slow decay there is nice. It fills up the space that is left in the mix despite having so much going on. I mean, that's just down to the studio production, I think. Boom, 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 boom. You're working with thirds in the vocal harmony there, which is cool.
For so many days.
You don't need much more than that. Resolving to that major there with that bass line at the end. See, this is so full of all these unexpected little elements and tidbits. I it's one of those situations where I'm kind of lost for words, and I don't mean that in a pretentious way.
Come back to me. I'm waiting here. Don't be too long. I love you, dear.
I like how her voice in that higher spectrum stacks so well on top of that low bass. You know, it was. I say there's a lot going on, but also it was minimalist in regards to the perceived loudness of it. You know, it's not like we had a wall of sound or anything with those different elements. So just these sub layers of like the little ascending melodies with the synth sequences and just it's not the time. Kelsie Kimberlin 2022. I mean, what do I say about this? Like, because this is the conclusion. The story, as I understand it, I think it's a story that most people will be able to understand after looking through the video, which has lyrics in it, which again, this is a very smart move having the lyrics in the video. It allows people to absorb it all at once. Although to be fair to Kelsie Kimberlin, you didn't really need assistance with understanding what she was saying because she sings clearly with great vocal technique. Like everything is, because of the studio production, you know, mixing and mastering, like there's space for it. Anything else is kind of sort of segmented and EQ'd and compressed in a way that like it behaves well with each other and there's no overlapping that results in a disharmonious situation. But yeah, the story is effectively, I think, about her being away from somewhere that she really appreciates and loves. I think she, you know, has a passion for Ukraine. She loves Ukraine. She's really sad to hear what's going on with it. I think she wants to reach out for them to find a connection again, for things to improve and be better and to change for the best. And I think that at this day and age, I think that that's a really great message there. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting, you know, the world to not be as terrible a place. You know, it's certainly, at least to me, arguably more interesting than hearing about someone's relationship issues or someone struggling with their own inner problems. It's nice for a musician to be looking outwards from themselves. You know, I know we're talking about how Kelsie Kimberlin feels about Ukraine, and I think the video is insinuating that it's related to like a relationship with someone who is like a love interest or something, and it's a nice metaphor for that. But like it's centered around wanting to reform that connection and for things to go back to the way they might have used to have been. So the story is compelling and interesting. The way she has put it forward, I think the story, like if we go through the lyrics at the bottom, fairly straightforward. You know, I want to see you with your smile again, hold you in my arms, play all my songs. I just want to be here in your company. It's not the time to be worlds apart, to be far away for many days. Come back to me, I'm waiting here. Come back to me, I'm waiting here. Don't be too long. I'm so near. But I think that the story is well told. I think that Kelsie Kimberlin sings in a way which is appropriate for the story or the message that's being put forward. I appreciated the way she emoted throughout her performance. There were no points where she started to get super excited and punching like, oh, hell yeah, no, let's go for it. No, it sounded like she was very sad about the situation. Like she was missing something important. Like she was reaching out to it. I think that makes for a very a believable experience for the listener, and it helps that Kelsie can sing really well. There was not only the straightforward like melodic vocals, and then like the chorus and verse parts with the double tracking in the chorus. There were also the held notes that we had on the higher register and the higher octave in the second half of each of the choruses, which I thoroughly appreciated. I think it was a nice additional brightness to it, a nice little added bit of brightness, a bit more of the sparkle. Because when you're talking about something, subject matter that is this sort of deep and kind of dark and potentially depressing, you need to have some brightness in the musicality and the way the arrangement and the harmonies, etc., to sort of balance out that tonality so that it isn't too sort of like, isn't too much. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're working in sort of like, I'm not sure what genre this would be necessarily. I mean, I hesitate to say pop music, indie, electro pop or something like. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. I think the structure of it, where we had these instrumental sort of intro and outro parts. And then, you know, we didn't have an instrumental outro, did we? We just had the vocals with the bass line at the bottom. But I think it was a masterstroke to just have the instruments come in before Kelsie Kimberlin did, because it not only demonstrated that we knew how to write music and how to like introduce ourselves without sort of being too affronting, but also it showed the production quality and the way that everything's been sort of stacked in the mix, and it also allowed Kelsie to then take center stage and develop it further with her own story. The instrumental performances from the guitar parts, the synth parts, the bass, drums, etc., they were ingredients in the mix, and none of them were necessarily the focal points at any point in time. Even in the start, it was more just a sort of a way of setting the mood, setting the tone for the experience. Obviously in this mix, Kelsie was the focal point. The story is the important thing here, but there was a lovely coloration here that I haven't necessarily heard before. Again, just to have more of a slow movement kind of floating through the track as opposed to being driven forward by hi-hat beats or kind of like constant pulsing bass lines or something like that. It was more like the sound was wrapping around your head and you're moving forward through it, and it's like Kelsie is kind of narrating the story and bringing you along with her, and it's kind of being sucked into that void, but like it's not like a bad void. It sounds great because effectively you only had like max of 2 to 3 chords per progression, you know, like it's just, you had these fun little occasional melodic sort of rises here, or you had the occasional kicks here, and then they kind of left, and you were constantly being treated to instruments that came in and outwards, just at the right amount of time for you to not get sick or bored of them, you know what I mean? You kind of missed them and then they'd come back, and I think that's kind of interesting considering how the story is about missing someone or something that much. You know, as a listener, you get to enjoy that as well. Obviously not in the same way, but you know what I mean. Finally, the recording, mix, and mastering was absolutely sensational. I've got no complaints whatsoever with the vocal recording, like the effects change on the vocals, the reverb change, a bit of delay and repeater that went on there. There was a clear understanding of where to put that in at the right time to do so. Everything was filtered and stacked well in the mix, as I've mentioned before. Stereo panning was fantastic. Compression limiting on the mix was nice. It didn't pump. It was nice and loud, but it also had dynamic range to it, and it never ever it stayed within a comfortable perceived loudness where it was somber, it was moody, but not like in a off-putting way. It was someone going through conflict and the struggle of missing something that much, and that was elevated through these minor triads and bits of tension and harmonically, but also kind of that was reflected in the actual way it was recorded, mixed, and mastered. You know, the textural choices of the synth parts, knowing to have the reverse sort of reverse guitar lines with the slides and all that. It was a shift and a very kind of like a dream sequence where things kept floating in and out, and I kind of appreciate that. And then the sense of her misty vocals as well, kind of keeping that sense, that sort of vibe going. And then yeah, that's basically my review though of Kelsie Kimberlin's It's Not the Time. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. Hopefully you enjoyed the track. If you did, please do go show Kelsie Kimberlin some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.